What is up, my dude? So this is the rhythm skin guide for MX Simulator, and I know a lot of you guys recommended that I go in here and make this guide. So right off the bat, let me just tell you that this is more of a general rhythm section guide. I will be going in there and doing more specific guides on things like triple ends and seat bouncing and dragons backs and stuff like that, but this is just more of your overview of rhythm sections as a whole. So most people out there would probably say that corners is the most important part to a supercross track, but I think the only reason they really say that is because you got to be able to hit the corners right to be able to hit the rhythm sections right. So in turn, really your rhythm sections is probably the most important part, because if you don't hit the rhythm sections right, you're not going to get a fast lap time on a supercross track. Like, there's no room for error there. There's no room for play. Like, for instance, on the whoop sections, you can still get across those without going wicked fast. You get what I'm saying? Or like a normal triple, most of the time the landings are big enough to where you can still get over those without crashing on them or without going super crazy fast in the corners. But with rhythm sections, if you don't hit them perfect, you're not going to be able to hit them right. Like, it's just one of those things about it where it is the true element of Supercross. It is the true separator in Supercross. It is what makes Supercross all or nothing, 0 or 100. That's what rhythm sections are. So we're looking at a pretty advanced sort of thing in the game, and that's what you have to realize from the very beginning. Okay, I would say there's about 4 or 5 different levels to hitting rhythm sections in MX Simulator, and as you guys know, when you first start in this game, you feel like fucking Travis Pastrana just being able to roll through the rhythm sections. I'm not even talking about jumping anything, bro. I'm just talking about rolling it. Like, you literally come in here and you're just rolling this stuff. Like this right here. If you are able to roll stuff like this when you first start in the game, that is a massive achievement. It truthfully is a big deal when you first start in MX Simulator, just to be able to hold the bike up around the track, just so that you don't fall over. So you got to take baby steps with this game. I feel like a lot of people try to rush their way to the top on day one, and they realize, oh, hey, that's impossible. You just can't do it in this game, man. Anything that's got a skill gap like this, you have to slowly work your way up. Every aspect to the game is built around slowly working your way up. So let me just explain every way to hit rhythm sections. Let me just go through all the levels really quick right here so you get a pretty good idea. So you start off by rolling the rhythm sections like I just showed you right there. Then you go to doubling in on a rhythm section, so you do like double, 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 double all the way down through the rhythm section, and you feel like a boss just doing that. But then you go to like doubling in and then hitting a triple, so you'll do like double, triple, 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 or something like that. Then you go to actually tripling in on the rhythm section, so now you're able to do like triple, triple, triple through there. Then you get to the point where you're doing triple ends, and you're doing like a triple end then a quad, so you'll do like triple, quad, quad, or something like that. Then you, on some rare occasions, you get the tracks where you can do like a quad end, and now you're doing like quad end, then you're doing quad, 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 or possibly even quad 5 quad or something like that. That's going way advanced, but that's kind of the levels you go through right there. So with rhythm sections, if you're not tripling in, you're not even opening up the doors to the actual rhythms that you're supposed to be hitting. I think a lot of people may not realize this, but like, for instance, if you're only doubling in on a rhythm section, then you can't hit probably 70 or 80% of the rhythm options in that rhythm section, because most rhythm sections out there are built to be hit from a triple in out of the corner. So that's what I'm saying when I say it's like a all or nothing kind of thing. Like, if you're just doubling through the rhythm sections, if you're just doubling in, you can't even hit the big stuff. you're not going to be able to do it. There's no way to do it because you don't have the speed to do it if you're only doubling in. But going from doubling in to tripling in is one of the biggest gaps to actually progressing through rhythm sections in the game. So that's something to always keep in mind. Like, you know, if you're like, dude, how are they hitting these rhythm sections? Why is this so difficult? What's going on here? Well, if you're just doubling in on the rhythm section, you're not going to be hitting the big stuff. You're just not going to do it. Like, for instance, let me go over here and show you real quick. It'll make more sense when I actually show it here. So, the whoop section. Okay, baby. Yeah, let's get over there like that. So, if you come through this corner right here, and you just double right here, all you can really do at this point is either double the next jump or triple onto that next tabletop. You can't even really quad anything at this point if you just double in. But if you come around here and you triple in, now it's opening up the doors to the bigger lines through the rhythm section. So let me come over here real quick. Okay, so if you come around here and you triple in, now you can quad this right here, and then now you can quad that right there. See, it like every aspect of it allows you to hit the next rhythm of the jump, you know, so that's what you go through there. But so it's all about learning how you lean on the bike through the air. It's about the ergonomics of the bike in the air. Now, a lot of people don't realize in this game, like, they will think that their bike is completely incapable of hitting a triple in. And the reason being is you probably have your rider mass distribution and your vertical and horizontal springs on stock. And if you do have that set to that, then you're not going to be able to hit triple ins. There's no way to make the bike do it. If you don't have the right amount of movement, the actual movement, maneuverability on the bike, if you don't have that high enough, you cannot hit bigger jumps. You just can't lean properly enough to do it. But the thing about that is when you're a beginner, you don't want that amount of movement, or then you can't even learn the game. So that's a really big aspect. A lot of people, you know, they're so confused as to why they can't triple in on something. Well, that's probably because you've got your rider mass distribution and your vertical and horizontal springs too low. And I'm not talking about your compression and your rebound. That really, I mean, you can have that on stock and still hit triple ins. I'm talking more about all the other little stuff, like your stability and stuff like that. That all is what makes the most of the difference. But like I'm saying, it's one of those things where if you just took a beginner and you put them on a bike that had the proper maneuverability like I'm telling you about, they couldn't even ride the bike because there's too much movement. You know, you have to slowly work your way up through that in this game. You have to slowly work up your rider mass distribution and slowly work up the way that you've got your vertical and horizontal springs set up and all that stuff. That's something that you slowly work up with your skill in the game. And then you get to the point where you can start hitting bigger stuff. But you're just going to have to man up and realize that you're only going to be able to hit double ends for a good little while in this game. Like, you just need to accept that that's all you can do for a little while with your current setup, and play the game every day, play it consistently, and learn the way the bike feels with that certain more like stock style setup. And then when you get super comfortable with that, then you can start going in there and adjusting your maneuverability type stuff in your settings, and it won't feel so weird to you at that point because you've learned the general basics of the bike controls. So that's another big aspect. But as I said, with rhythm sections, you know, a lot of it is the corner. Basically, everything about it is the corner. So, for instance, when you're coming in the corner, you don't want to come in here super far to the inside, or you're not going to be able to hit the jump like you want to. And you also, I think a lot of people, they get a little bit scared in the corner. They get kind of antsy, and they will come in here and they will think, oh my gosh, I got to be going so fast to hit this jump because it's really big. And they'll come in there and they'll get too much on the throttle, and they'll just like spin out in the corner, and then they can't hit the jump right. it's way more about being smooth through the corner than it is about being like wide open throttle. The only reason you see people wide open throttle is because they perfectly mastered the way that the back tire will spin around a corner at wide open throttle where they can still hit a triple in or something. But if you're more like a beginner or an intermediate rider or something like that, you just want to come into the corner smooth. You want to take it to the outside and just try to keep the bike as straight as possible and just come into the corner smooth on the throttle. And that's going to allow you to hit some of those jumps. It's all about your momentum and your mile per hour. That's what allows you to hit jumps. It's not so much about your like leaning or seat bouncing. You're not hitting a magical seat bounce button that just allows you to hit any jump at any speed. It's not like those arcade games, man. It's about your momentum and mile per hour. And that's what allows you to hit bigger jumps as well. A lot of people, I think they don't realize that. Like they will, for instance, come too far to the inside on this corner and they may still be able to hit the triple in, but then they don't have the mile per hour to hit that next quad. You get what I'm saying? So you have to hit it far enough to the outside to where you have the actual momentum to be able to jump the next jump. And it's all about momentum and the way you hit the transition of the landing of the one jump and then the takeoff of the next jump. That's everything to rhythm sections right there. Like certain bigger jumps, you have to be going super fast, and some of them, in rare occasions, you actually have to over jump one of the jump landings to be able to hit that next jump, because that's just how much momentum it requires to hit the bigger jump. Like a lot of people kind of get it caught in their head, you have to land stuff perfectly all the time. That's not always the case, even though that is the case for the majority. Some bigger jumps, you have to hit them so damn hard that you're almost landing into the jump face to hit the next jump. And then it gets really tricky because then you try not to endo and like get a kicker off of it in that sense. But with a lot of rhythm section jumps, it's about landing it perfectly. Like when you land something perfectly, it's almost like you get a little bit of a speed boost when you land the downside of a jump perfectly, and that's what allows you to hit that next jump. You don't want to like just jump something without leaning at all and then just kind of half-heartedly landing somewhat on the landing, because then you're not going to be able to hit the next jump right. It's all about your minute leaning back when you come up on a jump face, leaning forward down the landings of jump faces. You don't want to overdo it. There's a lot of things in this game, kind of like with loop sections. You don't want to overcorrect. You don't want to turn too much when you're going through rhythm sections. You don't want to lean too much when you're going through rhythm sections, or you're going to get some of this number going on where you're just kind of jumping and humping and bumping around everywhere and you can't even keep the bike straight. You know, you want to keep it as straight as you possibly can. And a thing about coming around corners is like you learn how to hit jumps at an angle. And this is a pretty advanced thing in this game, because most beginners, if they hit any jump to any angle of any degree, then they're just going to shoot off in a 360 no scope backflip insta death kind of thing. So like what I'm saying here is like where you'll hit a jump at an angle like that, and it'll kind of kick the bike in a weird way, but if you have enough bike control, you can control that in the air. And a lot of times that's how you're hitting some of these faster triple ends out of a corner, as you're already angled when you're coming off of the jump face. So that's a pretty advanced technique that's going to be somewhat difficult to learn if you don't have like your stability set right and some of that kind of stuff, and you don't have a lot of seat time on the bike. And it's about seat time on the track, like that particular track. If you don't know that particular rhythm section, how the hell are you going to hit that rhythm section? You know, you have to test like, okay, I have to hit this triple like a little bit less throttle to be able to hit the next quad, or I got to over jump this jump a little bit to be able to hit the next jump. You have to know each individual rhythm section. You have to have the amount of seat time on that particular track to know that rhythm section. You have to test it out. You have to over jump it and crash. You got to under jump it and come up short on stuff to realize how you have to hit the rhythm sections. The rhythm sections is probably the most varied aspect to any supercross track, because they're all completely different. You know, you got triple ends onto tables, you got on-offs, you got just a slew of different variations to how rhythm sections can be. But what I will tell you is, for the most part, you start to learn this sort of general basis of how you need to be on the throttle with most rhythm sections out there. You learn like a catalog of how most jumps are. You get a catalog in your mind of every single jump you've hit in the game and how it feels to hit that, and how most jumps have a general speed that you go to hit it properly. Then you can start to get to the point where you can almost hop on a track that you've never seen before and hit the rhythm section perfectly because you just know rhythm sections. That's how you see the pros go out there on a Supercross track that they've never seen. It's like day one, first lap on that Supercross track, and they're out there just quadding shit perfectly. You're like, how the hell are they doing that? Well, it's because they've hit so many jumps in their past, they've just got a pretty good idea. You know, you look at indicators like how much distance from the corner to the jump face, how big is the jump face? Like, what kind of section are you looking at? You know, all these little things you can realize about a rhythm section without even looking at your mini map. You know, a lot of times most rhythm sections, like, they're usually got a triple in of some degree, and then it'll be like triple, 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 triple. You might be able to get a quad in there somewhere, something like that. Like, you can pretty much get your way around most tracks without even really knowing them once you get to a certain point in this game. But yeah, it's just another aspect is make sure you have the bike in the right gear. You want to, like, for instance, let me show you up here. So I think a lot of people, this is where they get a little bit twisted here, is they will, they'll be in the gear to where there's too much throttle control involved in it. You want to try to get it in a gear to where you're almost wide open and you land the jump perfectly. Like, for instance, let me just show you right here. So this last little quad, oh, I may have overjumped that a little bit. Okay, so I'm in third gear and I hit that last quad right there. Landed it pretty well, and I was basically wide open in third gear. Not 100%, I was probably like 90% or something like that, but pretty much wide open to hit it. Now, I could go hit that same exact quad there at the end in fourth gear, but now there's so much play in how I have to be on the throttle. There's so much, like, if I'm in fourth gear, now I've got to be more medium throttle. So now you're having to think too much. Now there's too much throttle control involved. You're having to use your mind too much for it, and instead of focusing on just hitting that jump right and leaning on the jump and stuff, now you're focused too much on, you know, how much throttle you got to be with that certain gear because you're in too high of a gear. It's all about keeping it simple. You know, you want to try to get in a gear where you're almost wide open on every part of the track. That's going to be the best gear you could possibly be in. Now, in some occasions, especially bigger quads and stuff, you're going to have to shift right on the jump face of a jump to be able to get the speed for it. There are some occasions where it's like that. You have to do that. You're kind of forced to do that, but you know, don't be scared in being wide open on jump faces and stuff. That's what makes it easier. That's what makes it just all becomes a little bit easier when you eliminate that. Either way, man, that's pretty much rhythm sections. It's just like with anything. The more time you put into it, the better you're going to get at it, no matter what. That's just the way it is in this game, man. Everything gets more comfortable. I surprise myself every single day when I play this game, how I realize it's not so much about all the little things. It's just the passion you have for it and the time you put in on it that overrides anything else in the game by like tenfold. You know, you start to realize that. But either way, all of my guide videos are in a playlist on my front page, so definitely go check that out. But appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.